And I remember first time we met, you're under 30 years old and you had 30, 40 plus unit multifamily properties.
Yeah.
How do you get financing? How do you get in that world? Hey, welcome to Get Real Estate Podcast. Good to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Cassidy Burns, good to see you. BPG Residential.
BPG
Must be
Residential.
one brand.
Yes.
AVEC Construction.
AVEC Construction.
What else you got?
BPG Holdings.
Yep.
And BPG Property Management.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So we've known each other for a little bit, and I'm going to say 6 years-ish.
I consider myself one of the OGs of Allied Title.
100%.
Yes. Yeah.
100%. And I remember first time we met, you're under 30 years old,
Correct.
and you had 30, 40 plus unit multifamily properties.
Yeah.
And I remember, and I think then you're like, yeah, I didn't have a lot of money, but I know how to raise money. And this is back in the day.
Yep.
So people out there that, want to get in multifamily and they're not sitting on $1 million or whatever the money is needed. How do you get financing? How do you get in that world?
I leveraged my first property ever. So I was on Trent & Co. Trent Heminger forced me to buy my first condo, primary residence, house hacked. Time did its thing. It appreciated. I opened up a line of credit on it and then used that for the down payment for multiple other properties, rolled it into another. And then eventually an opportunity came where we were able to buy a 32-unit apartment building. I didn't start raising money until after that bigger building.
So that first down payment, how much was that for? How much was the building? How much was the down payment for?
So for the multifamily, so the multifamily building, I got it for a steal. It was in my hometown, White Sulphur Spring, West Virginia. $550,000 for 32 units.
Nuts.
Yeah, so we bought it for a basis of around $18,000 a unit, which is unheard of.
Sure.
So I needed $125,000 to buy that building.
There you go. What year was that?
That was in 2019. Was my first large building.
Do you still have that building?
I still have that building. We've already done a cash out refinance.
Yep.
All of our investors have been that eventually came in for construction because we did raise on the construction side.
Right.
We're paid back. Got the return, and then now I own that building.
Free and clear.
Not free and clear. So we still have debt. We still use leverage on that, but I still own it, and I'm just collecting cash flow on it.
Awesome. And so, how long will you hold on to it?
That one is probably a 2025, 2026 1031 exchange.
Okay.
Mostly because every building has certain headaches. Every building has a certain lifespan of where you have debt equity, where I'm going to be able to take that money and buy an even better asset, thinking longer term, right? Not as much just doors, but more what's the best possible asset to own. So 3-4 more years.
Nice. How many multifamily buildings are you currently on?
Yep. So we have 100 units currently. The larger multifamily, we have 4.
Okay.
32 unit, 17 unit, 18 unit, and a 15 unit, and we're under LOI on a few different ones right now currently.
Cool. And how are you determining the areas?
I went to what I knew. So I knew Washington, D.C., and I knew the Shenandoah Valley, Central Virginia area. Harrisonburg, Virginia. Obviously, James Madison at the Bridgewater College, right? Bridgewater College on the weekdays, JMU on the weekends.
Exactly.
So I went back to what I knew.
You've got a few different brands. How do they all work together? What's the current vision, long-term vision?
Yep. So we started BPG Residential. After I left Trent's team, I went and started residential brokerage. I realized that there is not much leverage in that business. So then I started property management because I was looking for the residual income source. And we owned 100 units. We were selling to a lot of investors. It was a natural progression there. We have 230 units under management in that particular business. Then I bought AVEC Construction. AVEC Construction was to help with BPG Holdings, which in the end is our real business. That is the raising of capital to buy more multifamily buildings. Everything is vertically integrated to help with the investors generating a bigger return for BPG Holdings.
And like in that example, your construction company, you can maintain cost control when you're doing these multifamilies. So that's one of the biggest overruns that occurs with people in that space, right?
Correct. Yeah. So just last weekend, we had a roof that needed to be replaced on an 18-unit building. We got quotes. It's $35,000, $40,000. AVEC Construction, we did it for $12,700. So we were able to save the LPs, the investors, 50% on that cost because we controlled the cost in the construction.
So, how many people on the brokerage? Like, how many people on your team now?
We have 5 residential real estate agents.
Cool.
Yes, 5 residential.
And are you building that, or are you just kind of happy with the team as is, and it's about
Today we just hit for 2024 actives closed, active under contract, and active listings. We're at 18 million today, which I am very, very happy with, and I honestly don't know if we have the capacity to do more.
Sure.
So we should be a $30 million to $35 million team, but all of my agents are wearing multiple hats in the other businesses.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so they're acquisitions associates.
Sure.
One of them's running a portion of the construction company, helping with lease ups and property management, so they get to learn all aspects of the business.
How'd you get into real estate? Like, and was your first? Were you working with Trent or Athey first, or?
Yep. So first, I was a personal trainer. I was Trent Hemminger's personal trainer.
Okay. Oh, this is a good story. Did not know this.
Yeah. So
I think I did. But.
2014, I graduated from Bridgewater. Moved up to Bethesda, Maryland. Equinox was a personal trainer. 2016, Trent's husband, Adam, my very good friend, was my client. He was one of my first clients. He bought Trent Hemminger a package of personal training packages. Within 3 months, he had already hired me to his team. The one stipulation was buy a property. So I'm working for him as a real estate agent and personal trainer, and Trent knew I wanted to get into the development. So he introduced me to Brian Athey. Brian Athey and I worked together for 3 months.
Internship.
Yes, I'm not very employable, right? We both realized that, but I learned so much on the development side, which really helped me in the construction realm, right? So now I had brokerage, I had development, and also I was helping Brian with some property management stuff. So those 3 months were invaluable to me from a learning perspective. But it was Trent first, then Brian.
Let's make fun of some Trent stuff, of course.
Okay. Yeah. Of course.
All right. So he shows up for personal training. Did he have any experience working out? Like, how did things look?
It's an hour session.
Yeah.
And he was paying, Trent, don't kill me, I think he was paying $125 an hour.
Yeah.
And he would show up for 15 minutes.
That sounds about right.
So for me, it was a big personal development because I would read for 45 minutes of Trent's or look at I was doing evaluating deals.
He was coming late.
Every time.
Okay, yeah.
3 days a week. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But he's a big runner, so then he started getting into the treadmill classes and such. He got pretty fit during that time.
Okay.
But I cannot give him credit for being on time.
When you were on Trent's team, were you, I know Trent's team is, I call him the condo king.
Yep.
Were you doing a lot of condo stuff, single family, multitude? What did that look like?
Yeah, he gave me a lot of exposure, and I was a gritty guy, so I would go out and try to build relationships, and if he put me in front of someone, I was going to try to build a rapport, and more importantly, just show up. So I did a lot of condos, and I sold a lot of condos doing open houses.
Cool.
There's one building off of Kennedy Street that I sold 5 out of 10 units strictly from doing open houses in that one particular building.
That's good.
And then I started sourcing off-market deals. Again, learned that from Brian Athey on how to source off-market deals, the development side. And I started doing that as well for the developers that Trent was working with.
Nice.
So yeah, it'd be a mixture. A lot of first-time home buyers that I have since convinced to turn them into rental properties. Right, that was my thing. You need to own assets. You can't just always be a lifelong tenant. The only way to do it, in most cases, is leverage low money down purchasing, which is primary residence.
So you bring up open houses, and I've heard a mixture of people. People are like, I don't do open houses. Some people are like, it's how I grew my business. What's the key to being successful at an open house?
You can tell by an agent of when they got into the business by if they like open houses or not. Pre-COVID, that's how most agents built their business. So anybody who's been in the business for 7+ years, it was all open houses.
Right.
Now it all becomes Zillow and buying leads and cold calling. That wasn't my thing. But to be open houses, I think you just have to be a person and a human and have good conversations with individuals when they come in and actually understand the asset. And I think that's the one thing that most agents are missing is they don't understand the why people should be buying a house.
And maybe even that specific house, right? The details, doing a little research before they come in, provide some value of information versus walk around
and the bathroom's nice.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
always went in financials. I always was driven by numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I understood numbers, so that was the way this property will rent for X, or
Yeah.
your mortgage payment will be here. The amount of principal that'll be paid down is this.
Mm-hmm.
So some clients didn't like that, right?
Yep.
So I had a very particular clientele.
Yeah.
And it went more the investor and financially savvy individuals that like to work with me.
You're not. Are you in production anymore? Or
I am not, only for friends and family.
Yeah.
I think I was just telling you before. I got two contracts under contract this weekend.
Yeah.
Buyers.
Right.
And I haven't done buyers all year.
Yeah.
I represent listings, but then also I'm mostly concentrated on sourcing deals for our funds,
Right.
for our syndications
Cool.
that we're actively raising for.
And for those funds, so those are all going to be multifamily deals.
Yeah, so we have two funds
Yeah.
that right now are actively in capital raise mode. One is a $25 million fund. It's for multifamily in the Shenandoah Valley
Yep.
and Washington, D.C. The next is it's a different concept. It's a luxury destination rental fund.
Okay.
Airbnbs in luxury vacation
Yeah.
rental markets.
Nice.
Yes. So we have two different raises, two different types of investors that are interested in those.
That's cool. Do you already know the areas where you want those to focus on, or does it all depend on what's available?
Yeah, so it depends on, with the short-term rental, it depends on regulations.
Yeah.
So we are doing a lot of market research right now. We have not pulled the trigger on anything because we have to understand
Sure.
where and what we're buying. We have a few locations that we're interested in.
Yep.
The Shenandoah Valley, Massanutten Mountain being one. Charleston, South Carolina, near and dear to my heart. Love that place. Outer Banks as well. So we have a few picked, but it's a very, very particular asset of what we're going to buy.
I mean,
there.
the regulation completely changes the financial
Correct.
model, obviously.
Correct.
And is there a way to, like, even forecast that situation? So, for example, I have a house in Pinehurst, North Carolina. They wanted to possibly get rid of Airbnbs. Town hall meetings came together. They actually grandfathered people that were already there, but you can't get new licenses, right? So, I was in San Diego. There were these like massive homes people were buying. They're Airbnb, and they changed. You can't do it in those neighborhoods. How do you forecast or see that?
I would say that and this is what, again, going back to COVID changed the way people invest their money and the way they look at financials.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I want to do something that has been done for decades.
Sure.
Right? It's the same thing with the concepts of when I'm buying multifamily buildings. I'm not going to buy it on projections that the rents are going to increase by 20% every single year.
Right.
I'm not going to do that,
Sure,
right?
of course.
We're going to project 2 to 3% rent increases a year.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with short-term rentals. If you think about when you were a kid, where your parents used to bring you to vacation and you could only go there when it was a vacation, that's the places that we want to buy.
How are you spending your time in the different businesses? Are you highly involved with all of them? Are you involved with some and not others?
It depends on the phase of the business.
Mm-hmm.
So right now in residential, 10, maybe 15% of my time is spent there. That business, because I've owned it the longest, has been systematized. We have processes, and I have people that are really good at certain aspects of that business.
Mm-hmm.
Property management, 3% of my time.
Yep.
Very, very little, because I have a great operator. Alex Self is doing an amazing job, and we're actively looking for new property managers. So if you're interested, please reach out to us in the DC and Northern Virginia area. But right now, I am concentrated on building Ava Construction, our construction company. Right, it takes up a lot of time because we bought it. We bought that business. We bought it. It was a mom and pop shop. It had been in business for 19 years. They didn't have the systems. They didn't have the technology. They were still dropping off estimates on paper, right? So we're onboarding all of those technology things. And then the most important business is BPG Holdings, the asset management, and that's just relationships. Raising capital, right? So meeting individuals that are interested in these particular asset classes, and then also evaluating deals. Right, so that's where most of my time is spent. If I'm not building those businesses, I am building relationships and evaluating deals.
I think about like Allied and we're about to get in the summer, and we were just talking about things slow down in the summer, and so I spent a lot of time with Panderberg Creative to get it set up and all that stuff. even without a lot of stuff coming in, it still takes a lot of time in those beginning months.
Yes. Yeah.
Now that I've got some time back, I'm going back into sales, like for
Yeah.
Allied. More business development, more, because at the end of the day, it's all about that revenue growth during tough markets.
Correct.
To get to the other side.
And it's a phase, and you're in a different phase,
Yeah.
right? So hopefully Panderbird will be built organically, slowly.
Yeah.
And then you have to go back into your real machine, right? The incubator, right? That really produces the money that you need to live and to truly get to where you need to be, which is the sales, right?
Sure,
Of the title company.
You moved to EXP recently, right?
I moved to EXP.
How's that going?
Good. Yeah. It was the best business decision for our particular team.
Yep.
Cheaper basis for my agents, cheaper basis for me. I was thinking about starting my own brokerage, but I wanted to take away the risk with the E&O. So EXP is on them. And there's other avenues to make money, right?
Yeah.
The revenue share and stock and such. It allows my agents to have something else to build towards.
Sure.
All of my agents are expected to buy a house within the first year of joining.
Okay.
It's an expectation of being on our team.
Cool.
Like you need to practice what you preach.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
All right, so we've created a new little section here, rapid fire,
Okay.
this or that. All right, so text or emails for client communication.
Emails.
Okay. Fixer upper or move-in ready.
Depends on the buyer. If you don't have much money, move-in ready. If you have capital, a fixer-upper is always going to be financially more lucrative. Yeah.
One word to describe the real estate market in 2024.
Opportunity.
Virtual tour or in person.
In person.
Condo or suburb.
Condo.
You've done them all. Well, let's talk about that. We talked about the different places you've lived in the last year or two.
Yeah.
Name them all. Give me the moves you made.
Yeah, so we lived in a condo in Northwest DC, 16th Street Heights. I bought a duplex in Noma, rented out the basement, lived upstairs, house hacking, 3.5% down, moved there, lived there for 4 months. My truck got broken into 4 times in 60 days. We had found out we were having a baby. We just got a new puppy. So I was like, this is over.
Yep.
We bought a house sight unseen in Charleston, South Carolina. I lived in Charleston for 10 months, realized that I love business too much and my relationships were here.
Yep.
So we came back.
Did you sell that house?
No. We left that open, and we were living 50-50 for about 10 months as well. Moved into a house in Falls Church. I rented that house. I wasn't ready to buy something. Interest rates, right? The agent that rents, that was me.
Yeah.
We closed down Charleston, and now we live in Haymarket, Virginia. So we have a little bit more space, and we'll definitely be moving in another year and a half. I can already feel it. Yeah.
I think you were telling me too. You're thinking about buying a building in Alexandria.
Yeah.
Right?
So we're actually under contract on a commercial office building in Alexandria. This is BPG Holdings.
Yep.
To kind of give you like how the whole synergy will go. So residential helped acquire it, right? I sourced it through residential. BPG Holdings is going to buy it. We raised some capital for this.
Nice.
We are going to vacate the upper level tenant, and it's got 2 tenants on longer term leases, ground level, first floor and second floor. BPG and AVEC are going to take the upper level unit, and that'll be our headquarters.
Great.
AVEC Construction is going to renovate the unit.
Yeah.
And then BPG Property Management is going to be the company that manages that
That's a perfect example of how it all works together.
Yep.
And listen, if I'm buying a building, I want tenants in ASAP. So that's
Correct.
like really good for your investors.
Correct.
The fact that you guys are going to be moving in there.
Yep, and we actually negotiated 91% seller financing on that one.
Awesome.
So we're not even having to use debt through the bank.
How far from here? I'm sorry. How far from our Old Town office?
Half a block.
Half a block?
Yeah,
Oh, really?
Yeah, right off of Duke Street. Yeah. So great location, 8 parking spots. We're gonna have a really cool space upstairs.
Awesome.
So for clients and events, that's where we'll host our investor meetups that we have every month.
Cool.
Pretty excited about getting that started. August 5th, we're settling on
This is
that.
great. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Client referrals or digital marketing leads?
Digital marketing. That's where I built my business, was in front of it, or I guess in front and behind the camera, and education.
Yeah.
I feel like you can touch more individuals that way, but then you have to have a client referral base as well, right? So once you convert them from a digital marketing perspective, you have to now be a human, be a person that they want to interact with, and send notes, write letters, invite them to events, take them out to baseball games. So there's a little bit of both, but all of ours has started with digital marketing.
You've done a good job on the video front. We were just talking about it. I mean, when you look back, and for those people that are thinking about getting into the video world, what's the key there?
Well, obviously you have to take the plunge, but I think it's really good, and this is one thing that we do with my team. We do a brainstorming session of the 5 pillars of you. And it's when you're building out your personal brand, who are you and what do you want the clientele, the customer to know about you? Like if you have a dog, you should show your dog.
Yep.
I became a father. Chase is a huge person in my life.
Sure.
He's part of my marketing campaign, right?
That makes
and
sense.
he's going to attract a certain individual.
Yeah.
I love old cars. We do that as well.
Yeah.
Obviously the real estate and then finances, but everybody's got 5 different
That's
pillars.
cool. I have not heard that before. That's a really good point. And I've definitely organically just noticed that from watching your social. I feel like all those things, you know, I've got to realize and have an idea of what you're up to. You know?
Steaks too. That's another thing too. I eat a lot of steak. It's part of it.
There you go.
So
Exactly.
every time I do, I post about it, right? Or make a note of it. Right?
Makes sense. That's good advice. I haven't heard that. That's
it
very
attracts
different.
a different type of person.
Sure. I mean, people are attracted to people they want to hang out with to a degree and want to work with, and so that makes a lot of sense. Early morning property tour or late evening client meetings?
Early morning. Now that I've become a father, my evenings are bedtimes. Yeah, they're tied up. So early morning.
Why don't you tell the audience a little about your funds, like why it's a good opportunity or if they may be interested?
Yeah. We are looking at certain asset classes, as I talked about, multifamily, and then also a destination fund. But one of the most important things that when we started to do this was that I realized, and this is a real estate podcast, and what I realized about real estate agents is they're really good at selling real estate, but they don't sometimes understand what to buy. They know they should buy it, but they don't actually practice what they preach. And this is a great opportunity, and you have to obviously trust the sponsor or the promote, but you can get into assets on a diversified platform of maybe that you wouldn't be able to buy before. So you don't actually have to go and buy a condo in Washington, D.C.
Right.
You can allocate your funds towards a fund that owns multiple larger buildings. You still get the same tax benefits as well.
How are your fees that you guys have in comparison to other funds? I mean, are they pretty standard?
Yeah, they're pretty standard. Yeah, so it'll be, I technically am not allowed to publicly advertise because it's a 506B Reg D, which means you can't advertise, right? It's we cannot reach out to you and say, hey, we want you to come or send you an advertisement, say, come reach out to us.
Why is that?
Right. It's because we allow the 35 non-accredited investors. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want people from my hometown. My mother invests into the fund. So I want individuals that would not have access to those assets to be able to. Doesn't mean we'll always do these funds, the 506Bs, but for right now, we are doing it so the individuals that wouldn't have access can have access.
It's very cool. Look, I mean, I got to say, 32 years old, I've known you for 6+ years, and the things that you've done, I mean, you're always progressing into different business. I'm very impressed, man.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm proud of you.
I appreciate
I'm proud
it.
of you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you coming on here. And for those that are interested in finding you or working with you, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Yeah, so you can send us an email at invest@bpgreal.com, or my personal is cassidy@bpgreal.com. Or you can reach out to us on any of our websites or social media platforms, and somebody will get to you.
Appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, appreciate what you guys are doing too.
Thanks, buddy.